Hello everyone, welcome to another one of our Facebook Lives. Really appreciate you joining us on this Tuesday morning. Some of you may know that I have really gotten into hand stitching, reverted back to my childhood actually, where I used to make doll clothes by hand and do small embroidery projects and needlepoint and bargello and all of those handcrafts. And 70 years later, I'm doing it again. And this time I've taken a lot of classes from people who are teaching the arts and crafts of hand stitching. And over the weekend, I took a class online from a woman by the name of Cantha Kaul, K-A-U-L, and it was wonderful. It was actually a 6-hour class, 3 hours on Saturday and 3 hours on Sunday, and it was all about Cantha stitching. Now, we say Cantha, or I say Cantha. It's also pronounced Cantha, without the H. It's probably the more official way to pronounce it actually. But some of you may know that Cantha or Cantha is usually in the form of a blanket or some running cloth, but it's all about patched pieces of cloth. And it's an ancient form really of embroidery and really the earliest of sustainability, as we know it now, where people gathered scraps of fabrics from either garments, old saris, other garments, and pieced and parsed their cloths into blankets or other usable materials. So this is an example of a Cantha blanket that you can buy. Now, we are seeing some Cantha yardage on the market today, and that's just fine too. So there are artists who are doing Cantha garments, jackets, vests, beautiful art-to-wear garments. But I was interested in the actual stitching. Now, a lot of the stitching that I do in my small and hand embroidery work is a simple running stitch. But this course actually reviewed some of the variations of a simple running stitch. So we did a little patchwork of 9 sections of different techniques for the basic running stitch. And then we ended the class with a little collage of materials that I stitched together using a couple of the stitches that I learned in the class. I really enjoyed the class, and the real reason I want to tell you about what I did is that I want you to check out Cantha Kaul's website, because it's a beautiful website. She's an artist out of London. She specializes in hand-stitched embroidered artwork. City maps are one of her genres, and I actually ordered a kit from her on the Paris map, and there's a class coming up this Sunday on that. So check out her website, check out all of her master classes and courseworks, and of course her artwork as well. I think you just might enjoy it. It's really a beautiful website, and she does really interesting and different work using hand embroidery. Today's topic, though, is very different from hand stitching. It's all about using Ponte knit. We've been bouncing that word Ponte around for some years now. When I was in college studying textiles, Ponte did not exist. The fabric did, but the term did not. I used to refer to that type of cloth as a double knit. And in the old days, I would sit in my sewing room sewing polyester double knit pantsuits and jackets and pants and skirts and so forth. And it was a fine fabric, I thought. Well, moving forward to today, the new fashion word for double knit is Ponte knits. Double knit is an interlock, so it is more stable. And unlike jersey, which curls and tends to have more drape and softness to it, excuse me, double knits and interlocks don't curl. They're very easy to sew. And yet you have to think about some of the techniques that you're going to use when you're sewing it as well. So we're going to talk about that today. I've brought out 2 of our pants patterns that I think are particularly suited to using interlock or Ponte knits. And the first one is the pencil pants. This is the pencil pants, and these are the Helix pants. The pencil pants are a download pattern only, and the Helix pants are a printed pattern. There's a similarity to them in general character, but I'm going to talk about some of the specifics that make them different. I actually have on the pencil pants today in a lightweight Ponte knit. They're very comfortable, but when I'm wearing something that has a little more volume on the top or is a longer length, such as this Berwick Street tunic, then I'm going to wear a slim pant under it. And so these pants can act as a fashionable pant, either dressy or casual, or even for athletic wear. There's no reason why you can't wear a Ponte knit for some yoga or other exercising activities. So it's a great universal all-purpose fabric that has become a real standard for many of the things that we're sewing today. The pencil pants are identified by having a separate waistband. I'm going to pull out my little chart here so that you can see this. The pencil pants have a separate waistband that's 3 inches wide. And inside of that waistband is actually a 3/4 inch knit elastic. So knit elastics are very nice. They're generally softer. They're a little stretchier than the normal elastics that we use in our pants, other pants patterns. And this 3/4 inch elastic actually takes up the upper third of the 3-inch casing, and it's zigzagged to 1 layer only. So you don't see the elastic, you don't see the zigzag attaching stitch on the outside of the casing. But it's drawn up just a little bit. So this pant has an elastic waist, but not a traditional elastic waist that really draws in. It's just very comfortable, but very smooth when it's on your body. Once that casing is attached to the pants, then that is top stitched right next to the seam to hold that seam allowance down inside the pants. So these 2 red lines here indicate that the elastic, the 3/4 inch knit elastic, is on the inside of the casing and you're not seeing it. The pencil pants don't have darts, so they're very, very smooth, but it's why we recommend a fabric that has some stretch, at least 25% stretch. And you know that when you take 4 inches of fabric between your fingers and stretch it, and if it stretches to 5 inches, that's 25% stretch. The Helix pants, which are the red pants behind me, are different, in that they have darts. Again, a very smooth fit. But this time we're using a wider elastic, a 1.5 inch wide knit elastic. And that is completely on the inside of the pants. It's zigzagged to the edge, the top edge of the pants, and turned into the inside of the pants. And then it's channel stitched or stitched in the ditch in various seams and darts to keep that elastic, which is next to your skin, on the inside of the pants. So that's really the difference in the 2 versions of pencil and Helix. The fit is similar. I find that someone can fit a little bit differently in the pencil, in the hips and the butt, and other people prefer the Helix. I like both. I can't really tell you. The leg widths are similar. I do think that the Helix pant is a little fuller in the leg and through the calf area, and the pencil is a little slimmer. I happen to like the pencil pants in a lightweight Ponte, which is drapier and obviously lighter weight, and I use the more medium weight, standard weight, regular weight of Ponte for the Helix. But that's just a personal choice, and it can go either way. Pontes can be plain in color, solid colors, or they can be in these beautiful prints. So the base of this is, in this case, a black solid on the back, but the print is on the surface of the Ponte. And there's some really beautiful prints that I'll show you in a minute that you can use for either one of the pencils or the Helixes. Red pants. Do you think about red pants very often? Not so much, but think about that as just Are you tired of all the black pants? Everybody has to have all of their pairs of black pants. I get that. But you know, think about putting something interesting on the top, a black and white and gray or another color of some sort, and kicking this with some red on the bottom for your Helix pants. Now, Erin has done something really interesting with the Helix pants and the Waistband pants. The Waistband pants are our pattern that has an elastic waist, pockets, and has a full leg. It's our widest leg pant. So she's made these pants that are what I call a Helix Waistband fusion. So it's the Helix pants on top and the Waistband pants, the leg width on the bottom. And she's also added this wonderful stripe down the side seam. This is in another printed ponte. You could use a solid color, which I think would be great, solid black, which would be very slimming. But she's used this fantastic black-based printed ponte. This time she's used the 1.5-inch knit elastic on the outside and left it as a little band. She thinks this is more comfortable. It also raises the pant just a little bit. For any of these pants, you're obviously going to measure your full hip, and that's going to be your starting size. And then you're going to measure your stride, measure your full length, measure your waist, and you're going to do all of your lengthening and shortenings first on your pants fittings. So you start with the full hip, and then you're going to adjust the stride, which is obviously between your waistline through the crotch and back up to the waist in the back. You're going to adjust that for length, and then you're going to do the total length, and then you deal with the width at the waist, either bringing it in or bringing it out, or making adjustments for tummies or full stomachs or other issues that you might have. All of those are in our tutorial called DIY Pants Fitting. For some reason I couldn't say that. DIY Pants Fitting. So check that out. It's also in the order, written in the order that you would do things. So it's a very useful tutorial. So I'm going to talk about some techniques now. Let's talk about this leg, how Erin did the widening of these legs. So let me get this unpinned. So this is a copy, a tracing of the Waistband pants with the wide leg. The black lines on this pattern indicate the Helix pants. So you can see it's quite a bit narrower than it ends up. So what she's done is match the notch on the side seam match the notch of the Helix. That's it. Maybe so. She's going to get me some tape so I don't look so awkward doing this. Because I've lost my pins. They've fallen on the floor. We're going to get some tape. All right. Thank you, Erin. All right. So you're going to keep the straight of grain the same. And now all she's done is from this notch traced the width of the leg straight down for the Waistband. So that's the new side seam. Straight of grain is parallel to the original straight of grain, and it's matched starting at the full hip. Now you can notice that, I hope you can see that there's about an inch difference in the width of the Helix pants versus the Waistband pants, and that's exactly correct. We've talked about the kind of ease that you need in a woven pant, which would be generally the Waistband pants. You want 4 inches of extra ease, so you can pinch an inch, we say. So you have an inch, an inch, and an inch, and an inch, 4 inches of ease in a woven. You can see that this pant is in the knit for a helix is about 4 inches smaller, so there's really zero ease in a helix pant, and that's about right for a Ponte knit pant. So in order to get the other side of this, now we shift this over so that this line now lines up with this curve. And straight of grain again. And so now she's able, from the crotch point, to trace the new width there. I think this is brilliant. For those people who really want a nice smooth fit through the waist, the stomach, and the hips, but you want to be able to change the width of the leg, this is a really good way to do it. You can obviously go from wider to narrow, narrow to wide, anything in between, and it really works great. Do you have anything to add to what I've just said about what you did? Did I explain it okay, Erin? All right, good. All right. So that's the difference between, this is the helix, which is the same as this, same darts, same elastic. This time the elastic's on the outside, the elastic's on the inside on the helix. This is the standard leg width of the helix right out of the pattern, and this is the modified helix with the west end width of leg. I love these, and they look fantastic on here. This allows you to wear different kinds of tops than you might ordinarily wear with an elastic top or elastic waist pant. You can wear something shorter, you can wear something a little bit longer. So you have some, I think, some flexibility in what you can wear with a pant that has more fit up here. Okay, so let's talk technique a little bit. It's a knit, so you're going to use your polyester thread. You know, we use cotton thread for all wovens, and did I say polyester? Cotton thread for all wovens and polyester thread for all knits, no matter what the weight. You want that little bit of extra strength and that little bit of give in the polyester thread when you're sewing on knits. So a standard couple of seam finishes for making any of these pants or sewing anything in a Ponte knit really is you have a couple of choices, about 3 choices actually. You can sew the seam at 5/8 of an inch, and Ponte presses nicely. So this seam can simply be pressed open with no finish whatsoever. If you want a little less seam allowance, a little less bulk of a total seam allowance, you can trim that seam allowance down and leave it pressed open. It's very nice, very flat, easy. If you really don't like the looks of the raw edge, even though it's not going to ravel, you are welcome to serge the seam edges first if you want to, or you can sew the seam at 5/8 of an inch, serge the 2 edges together with a 3-thread stitch formation, and remember we always use our isocord embroidery thread for serging, so it's very fine, and you can press the seam one way. Now Ponte, as any knit, can shine if you overpress it, so you want to be careful. You also want to cut out your knit pants as if there were a nap, which you can't see, but you want your pattern pieces to go one direction, because believe me, you can think that there's no change in character or shade of a knit fabric when it's on the table, but when it's on your body, you might see a little bit of a shade change or a tone. So just don't even go there and just lay it out all in the same direction. I also use a seam stick, which is basically a half of a dowel rod. So it's a half circle. It's wood. I use this to press seams open or even to one side, because now you're going to be able to press the well of the seam, and you're not going to get a show through of the edge of the seam finish or even the raw edges of the open seam. That's not going to show through to the outside, particularly on these solid colors and particularly in a Ponte knit. I also encourage you always to use a press cloth, and we use silk organza for our press cloths. We sell them here, just small pieces of organza that have a little finish on the edge. Makes a simple press cloth. I like to be able to see through it. I want to see what I'm doing. But this seam stick is going to help you keep the show through and the seam allowances from showing through on the outside. This is a little sample of what that waistband looks like on the Helix pants. I've drawn a chalk line 3/8 of an inch from the top edge. And then I take my knit 1.5 inch wide elastic and I put the edge of it along that chalk line and set my zigzag to a pretty wide, I think it's about a 4 millimeter wide, 3.5 millimeter long. You have to experiment just a little bit. I set that zigzag a little wider than it is the standard zigzag that comes with your machine. And I simply top stitch this. This is laid on top of the right side of the pants. Zigzag it. And then that is turned to the wrong side of the pants, lightly pressed, and it's held to the inside by stitching in the ditch at a dart or a seam. So it's really a beautiful, clean finish for being able to finish the waistband of your Helix pants. Okay. One other tool that I wanted to talk about, and then I forgot to talk about when doing the pattern work for widening the legs, is that we use a hip curve here. It's a plastic curve. In the old days in college, they were in metal only, and they were kind of expensive and hard to carry around, but we really like these clear ones. I like being able to see where this is placed on the pattern. I like to see through it, and I like the flexibility of it. So check out this hip curve. I use this a lot for just blending and truing up my lines. So I might be able to trace a line, but I might want to just make it a little bit sharper, clearer, and truer by going over that trace line using a hip curve. Okay. Fabrics. So this is a printed Ponte that we have in stock. I love this. It has somewhat of a blurry floral look to it in blacks and ruby, burgundy, fuchsias, and some rusty colors to it as well. Obviously we have red, and we have this beautiful, I love this all over pattern with the vine and flowers. So this one is a black base, but we also have it the same print in navy. Navy base, and the colors vary a little, but not much. Looks pretty much the same. We have a solid burgundy, beautiful. We also have these two other prints that I like very much. This one with another bit of a floral pattern to it, very abstract. And this one is similar to the one that I showed you first on the pencil pants, but does have some leafy, viney motifs to it, but then that blurred background, very nice. So there's a lot of colors that you can put with these in terms of tops and jackets and sweatshirts and sweaters and whatever you're wearing casually or dress it up. So we have other colors. I'm interested in this color because this is a color, these are the medium weight Pontes. We only carry Ponte that is in one combination of fibers, rayon, nylon, and spandex. I can't remember exactly the ratio. Do you remember, Erin? 65% rayon, 30% nylon, 5% spandex. Does that add up to 100%? I'm not sure.
Yeah, at least 60%.
Something
rayon,
like that. Yes,
right.
a little more
Correct.
rayon than nylon. What we don't carry are polyester Pontes. My experience with them is that they pill. and I don't want that. In fact, we used to carry some polyester pantes. I loved the colors. I wore them a few times and was frustrated that the upper parts of the pants where other garments hit that garment would pill, and I just don't like that. But this is a color that I wouldn't normally think about using, but this is the color for the season. I'm seeing this with camel. I'm seeing it with colors such as this sort of ruby, deep garnet kind of color. This happens to be a French terry, but I would make pants in this and a beautiful rich color of top to go with it, or put it with camel or brown, something kind of unexpected. So this is a very neutral color. This would also make a great jacket. So even though I'm talking about pants today, Ponte Knits make beautiful jackets and beautiful sweatshirt type garments as well, I'll call them. Garments where you want a little more stability, not as drapey. Let's look at some other colors. We have a beautiful rich purple. But I love the way they're smooth. They do wrinkle a little, but not too much. And the one thing about this particular variety of Ponte is that you can wear these for travel. If you're in the car, let's say the other day I went to Kansas City, which is about an hour away, and I wore my Ponte pants in the car and took them off end of the day and realized they had not bagged out in the knees. They're really nice and stable. So a beautiful purple, deep, deep purple, classic gray. This has a little heather to it. There's some drape, but you can tell it's a whole different drape than other kinds of fabrics. We have two colors of red. This is pure red, which I love, and a little deeper red as well. Two blues. Erin has a pair of, I think it's in this color blue maybe?
Yes.
Yep.
Pencil pants.
Are they pencil pants? Yep. It has pencil pants in this. This is a great basic color that has a little something to it other than your standard black. And another blue that, actually this feels like it's lightweight now that I feel it. I think it might be. So never mind. Of the medium weight ones. All right. We also have black, and we carry black all the time. All the other colors kind of come and go. We add, we subtract. Ponte is something we have all of the time. But black Ponte knit is, of course, a must-have, and we carry it all the time. So there's nothing better than a great pair of black pants. I don't know about you, but one pair of black pants doesn't cut it. You know, you've got to have two or three. You've got to have a narrow leg. You have to have a wide leg. You have to have a shorter cropped version. You have to have cuffs, whatever. You know, all of those. Never can have too many black pants. But let's compare the drape between, let's say, the mid-weight, which is this, and the lightweight Ponte. It's the same fiber, the same construction. It's no longer, I shouldn't say that. I was going to say it's no longer an interlock, but it is an interlock. It's just lighter weight. That's all there is to it. So this is the lightweight Ponte in black. And you can see, let's just kind of get, this is doubled. Let's gather this up and gather this up. And you can see there's a little skinnier drape to the lightweight one than the heavy one, the midweight one. We are currently out of the lightweight Ponte in black, amazingly. We sell it so often. We do have it on order. It'll be back in stock soon, so check back. But we do have lots of the midweight, and we're getting the black weight. And we do, the lightweight black. Ugh. And we do have lots of great colors, though, of the lightweight. Now, we've made dresses out of this. Again, a gorgeous red. A deeper reddish color. More of a cherry red. We've made dresses. We've made our Memphis dress out of this. I've made other tops out of this. We're coming out with a new pattern soon that'll be perfect for the lightweight ponte, so we'll be talking about this again. I think our new Marceau tee would be great in lightweight ponte. This blue. And a lovely teal. This is a very, very, very beautiful color. When I see colors like this, I think of Greece and beach and traveling, which we're not doing but at the moment, but we can dream. So, all right, I think that is it for the moment. We have questions, and we have our specials. Should I say the specials now, or should I wait? I think I'll wait.
Okay, let's do some questions.
All right, so we're trying something new today. Usually I repeat the questions, and Erin says them to me as she says them to me, and today she's mic'd. So you're going to hear the questions from her, and I don't have to repeat them anymore.
Okay, first one, can you show us the pants? They had some questions about the elastic. One of the questions was if you could show it close up, and is there a difference between how I did the elastic on the Helix and the pattern?
Yes. So this technique on the Helix pants is the elastic is on the inside of the pants. It's turned down, zigzagged across the edge, and then turned to the inside and stitched in the ditch in the darts and the seams. So you do not see the elastic in the original Helix. Using the same elastic, Erin has simply put the elastic, applied it in the same way. The elastic is zigzagged to the top of the pants, and she just hasn't turned it to the inside. That's the only difference. So one is hidden and one's exposed.
And can you show the close-up of the pencil pants?
Yes, close-up of the pencil pants.
With the elastic.
You can see that there's a casing, and the elastic is on the inside. There's a zigzag line here on the inside of the pant that holds the elastic in place. It holds it in the upper half of the casing, but no stitching is on the outside. And you can see it has drawn it up a little bit more than the elastic does on the Helix. So you can do that. When it's on, it's pretty flat. But when it's on the hanger, you see some of the ease because the elastic's cut some distance shorter than the casing, and all of those formulas are in our pattern. We tell you how wide to cut the elastic in relationship to the size of the waist or the size of the casing.
Okay, which of the pants is slimmer through the thigh?
I believe that the pencil pants are slimmer through the thigh than the Helix. I've not really measured that. I think it's just sort of the general consensus here in the office that that's the way it is. Yeah.
Can you explain knit elastic?
Well, I can explain knit elastic only to the extent that the elastic is knitted rather than woven. I don't know how elastic is made, so that's not something I really know anything about. But I do know that this is a very stretchy knit elastic versus the sort of non-roll elastics that we sell that have vertical ribs to them, and they're much sturdier and they don't stretch quite as much. But a knit elastic is simply that. It is knitted instead of woven, and it is super stretchy. And that's about all I can tell you about it. There are real differences in knit elastics. This is the softest one we've been able to find that still has good recovery. You'll see a lot of knit elastics out there, inexpensive knit elastics, that are very, very stretchy, but then they don't recover and they get too soft and they break down and they don't hold up over time. This elastic that we get in New York is quite nice and holds up and stays exactly the same for the duration of the length of time that you wear the pants.
Okay, have you ever used a wide elastic band with a woven?
Have I ever used a wide elastic band with a woven? Yes. As a matter of fact, in our 6 cent skirt pattern, we use 1.5 inch wide elastic inside of a casing in a woven skirt. So the same thing could happen with pants as well. Sure. I think the width of elastic that you're comfortable with is a personal choice. 1 inch for me is standard, but we also have had pants patterns in the past where we use 3/4 inch or 1/2 inch elastic in the casings. I tend not to personally like 1.5 inches because I don't really have a waistline, and that 1 inch just seems to fit wherever my waist was.
Okay, speaking of, you said shapes, patterns, and skirts. Would they work with Ponte, these Ponte knits, like the 6 cents or?
Oh, absolutely. Ponte knits can make beautiful skirts. That 6 cent skirt would be a great pattern. The 8th Avenue skirt would be beautiful in Ponte. We have a pattern that we don't talk about very often, which is the Eureka skirt. It has a top pattern. We talk about the top all the time, but the skirt is a beautiful design, and that would be fantastic in either one of the weights of the Ponte. So just the right amount of drape, I think, for skirts. So it doesn't have to be just for pants.
Okay, I don't know if there's a little confusion. I keep switching the camera back and forth. Sorry, guys. We still had another question about if you adjust the pattern for the exposed elastic. But we don't.
No, Erin did not. But of course, you certainly have to take this into consideration. That's that stride measurement. Where is your waist? And where does this elastic need to sit? So it just so happens that when Erin makes the Helix, the regular Helix, these sit a little bit lower, I think. Am I saying this correctly?
So I have a long stride.
Kind of a long, yeah, she has a long stride. So these pants, if she were to fit this absolutely at her waist, she would have to lengthen this pattern on the lengthen and shorten line through here and raise it. But she's done that by adding the 1.5 inch elastic. It ends up being about another inch or so taller in the front and an inch or so taller in the back. So I think you have to know your body and where you want that to sit, where you want this to end versus where you want this to end. And it might be 2 different places. Because on me, these sit a little bit below my belly button and a little bit higher in the back. So there's a little bit of a swoop to it.
And so we did have a question about if you or have a high back or a low front. Does this elastic work?
Absolutely. This elastic will contour to high, low, yeah.
Okay. All right. And is the Ponte breathable?
Is the Ponte breathable? You know, yes, but it's not what I call a cool fabric. Mid-weight Ponte in the summertime could be kind of hot. I do wear the lightweight Ponte in the summertime, in the heat of the summer, but as with all stable double knits, there's going to be a certain amount of warmth to them, and yet the air does flow through them per se, but I wouldn't call it a cool fabric.
I got warm in the medium weight in the summer.
Yeah, you can get warm in the medium weight in August in Kansas.
Yeah. Okay. Would the lightweight Ponte work with the Berwick Street tunic?
The lightweight Ponte in this would be beautiful. Yeah.
Okay. Just looking for some more questions.
I think the lightweight Ponte would make a lot of our drapey jackets, the Anne's cardigan, the pearl jacket, the flat iron jacket, anything where you want some drape. The lightweight would be wonderful. It can make shirts. It could make the London shirt, the Berwick Street tunic, the Florence shirt, the Frankie shirt. I think you can consider lightweight Ponte for any top pattern that you might normally use a woven, but you want to knit for the comfort or the color or whatever you like about it. Yeah. And I wouldn't adjust for size on it, if that's the next question. It usually is. Because you're using a lightweight Ponte, do you go down a size in the pattern? The answer is no.
Okay, with the fabrics, we had a couple questions about the background color. Is it black, navy? Can you point that out?
All right, this particular floral has a black background. It has a cousin, which is a navy background, same print. These two are black backgrounds, and this one is a black background. You know, I think I forgot to show. No, they're both black. They're all black backgrounds except for this one, which is navy. And just hold on a minute. I'm going to look at something here to see. Whoops. Interestingly enough, because it's a double weave, double knit, the background, the wrong side is actually black, and the upper layer is navy. That's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
But double knits mean double, basically two fabrics integrated together to make one.
Okay, where can they get the seam stick?
We sell the seam sticks here. They are, I don't know the price of them actually, I should have looked that up, but we do have them on our website, so check that out.
And you had mentioned about the press cloth, and so it's good on both the Pontes, correct?
This silk organza press cloth that we sell is for every situation, every fabric, every condition, everything. Yes.
Okay, the flowered, the gray flower on the top, which pant would you recommend for that one?
Ooh. I don't think it matters. I think I could do either a pencil or a helix. I think some people prefer printed patterns, some people prefer download patterns. That might be your decision right there. But if you want both of them and you have both of them, I think maybe the helix. Because it's a little, I don't know, there's really not that much difference. Both of these are mid-weight Pontes, patterned and solid. So I don't think it makes any difference.
Okay.
I go back and forth on which ones I like. So it's hard for me to sit here and say, this one's mine.
Just seeing if there's anything else. Does anybody else have any other questions? Is that the Ponte on the top? Would you say that's a dark teal, or what's?
This is a dark teal. It has a lot of green in it, though, like a deep evergreen. So it's a blue-green. And then we have the camel below. These two Pontes are even heavier than, slightly heavier than midweight. And they are very, very stable and nice. These two come from a different company, and so they have a slightly different heft to them.
Okay. Would you do the exposed elastic technique on a woven?
Yes, but you would have to ease the fabric to the elastic. And so you would have to, that would be a tricky sew, but it can be done. You would have, because you would have to have ease in the fabric, the woven fabric, you would be easing about 4 inches of fabric to the elastic. So you'd have to be pulling the elastic, sewing it to the top. This would be one of those situations where you have to, what is it, where you pat your stomach and rub your head or whatever it would be, it would be, I think it would be hard, but you could do it.
Do all of the Pontes have the same amount of, I mean, you talked about those were a little heavier weight, maybe a little more stable. Do the rest of them have the same amount of
Yeah, they
stretch?
all have at least 25% stretch. The lightweight Pontes have more stretch, but all of the midweights, even the heavier weight one, have the same amount of spandex and stretch to them and recovery.
Okay, I think that's it.
All right, so let's talk about specials today. So the Helix Pants printed is $18. Pencil Pants download only, $12. I referred to the DIY pants fitting tutorial. That's $15. That tells you where to measure yourself, how to measure yourself, and how to make quite a few of the most basic adjustments for pants fitting. Both the lightweight and the medium weight Pontes are 20% off for the next week. And the elastics, both of them, I believe, the 3/4 inch And the 1.5 inch?
$2.
Are $2 a yard. Now the 3/4 inch we sell in 5-yard bundles. This currently is being sold by the yard. When we get more in, we'll be selling it in the 5-yard bundles as well. So watch for that. If you want more, go ahead. But normally we sell this in 5-yard bundles, but we currently are selling it by the yard just because of what we're talking about here. So, okay.
And I think just make sure everyone, they go to shop and then Linda's videos, and then all of the video categories are listed there. And today should be on the upper left-hand corner under Ponte Knits. That's where you can find all the products.
I think you should come around here and show them what you have on today.
Oh, okay.
Erin has on the Florence shirt, which is normally in a woven, normally is buttoned, collar, stand, long sleeve, cuff, the whole thing, and she's made it in a knit and made it into this long tunic, and I think it's fabulous.
Thank you. Completely simplified it.
Yes, took out all the hard parts.
Exactly.
Exactly. All right, well, thank you so much for joining us. Really appreciate it, and we'll see you next week.